Jeff Beri, No Dogs Left Behind. Today's Wednesday, December 21st, 2:56 p.m. I now have the opportunity to report to you. I'm reporting to you from Hungary. The last 11 days I spent in Ukraine, and I would like to report to you, to our donors, to our supporters, the realities of the work that we are conducting in Ukraine and the perspective from animal welfare, not from a journalist, not from a political standpoint of view, but from the eyes of No Dogs Left Behind, my eyes, the camera's eyes, and the realities of what's taking place from one end, virtually, of Ukraine to the other. I am at a loss for words at many times, and you'll have to excuse me because this experience has brought me to my knees, and I am still shell-shocked from the experience, but I will do my best to walk everyone through what has taken place, where we started months ago, where we are right now. Months ago, we embarked on a campaign in Ukraine to establish a strategy of what we can do to support the animals and animal welfare in Ukraine. And it was established that we would conduct a cohesive sterilization campaign starting in Hostomel with the Hostomel Animal Shelter, with a comprehensive sterilization campaign, vaccination campaign, vaccinating for rabies, which is endemic in Ukraine, vaccination for multiple viruses, canine distemper, parvo, leptospirus, and identifying the dogs, whether it be stray animals with ear tags and family pets with international microchips, so as to be able to track these animals should they be lost in international databases. This is what we started off. This was what we felt was the best way we can assist animal welfare. Now, we're not in Ukraine for a political point of view or for any other reason. We are there for the reasons to support animal welfare. And this is what we embarked on. And I'm very proud to say that we have far exceeded our expectations and reaching just about a 70% sterilization percentage in Hostomel. We are now at the process of going door to door and checking on who has been missed, where we've missed, because 80% is the target goal for us. Our return to Ukraine was triggered from the ongoing attacks at the infrastructures in Ukraine, the alarming concerns of the power outages, the resources that were available throughout Ukraine to our allies. This is our shelters around, their cries for help, the food, the increase of strays in these other regions, the families who have no access to food, supplies that are cut off from them, and no one able to or afraid to transport supplies to these areas. This triggered No Dogs Left Behind to embark on its second mission into Ukraine, which took place 13 days ago. No Dogs Left Behind dispatched in with its incredible team. And for 10 days, No Dogs Left Behind traveled across China from Kiev to Mykolaiv to Ndlb, Kherson, to Harrow City, Alexandra Rybka, delivering food for dogs and cats, over 6 tons, while missiles were being launched. Missiles landing within meters of our vehicles. It did not stop us from continuing to deliver food and supplies. Our meetings with mayors of Mykolaiv, the villagers lining up for food and supplies. I cannot tell you how grateful they were as the truck opened and we were able to provide them with bags and bags of cat food and dog food, on top of having candies and little treats for the kids. Meeting with families of orphans to give them treats and give them just a little bit of happiness. These 10 days have humbled me beyond what I've ever experienced in my life. The resiliency of the Ukrainian people is something I've never experienced before in my life. To see some of these villages completely destroyed and them not leaving their pets behind, steadfast staying. Some of the past that we took in our trucks and not being able to even step 1 inch off of our path onto grass because of the explosive devices, landmines all over the place. And many of you will see the video footages of all the landmines all over. Over 6 tons of food we delivered throughout these regions. Regions that, again, the constant bombardment, the missiles landing, and I say this, while in Kherson, 1 missile landed so close to our vehicle that the spray of gunpowder, the powder blew through the vehicle, where our military personnel drivers turned the vehicle around and we needed to evacuate. That was the last straw. That was the closest we were to the left bank on the river. That was the day the president announced 16 missiles attacked on Kherson. That was the day we delivered 2 tons of dog food and cat food to Kherson. There's no question that global leaders must provide the Ukrainians with air defenses, because I could tell you this without a shadow of a doubt, because I've traveled throughout the country. Their country is being crippled with electric. Villages without water or heat. Some cities with 2 hours of electric. Some without water. Some traveling miles and miles with cans to fill up water trucks. That's not stopping them from leaving. So that's not stopping them from staying. They're staying. So I think that we've done our part as No Dogs Left Behind by delivering all this food. And also we conducted an incredible sterilization campaign for a military barracks, which I'm not at liberty to really discuss. A military barracks that was hit very hard, many losses. We were able to sterilize a good 70% of the dogs and cats in that military barracks and provide food for the families, dog food and cat food, and gifts for the kids. So all in all, our mission concluded with, very successfully, with going into the active war zones and risking our life to provide food for the dogs and cats, knocking on doors, looking for families that have dogs, feeding the stray dogs on the streets, giving the animal activists food to provide the dogs that are on the streets food, because they're the ones feeding the dogs on the streets, giving them enough food so that for the next month they can feed the street dogs, evacuating some of the survivors that were injured, because there's only so much we can do right now. We saved some survivors, we evacuated them, providing them with some resources then, and then maybe going back in the next month to do the same. So, this was our work in 10 days. At the same time, our first survivor, this is Yuki. Yuki came. Yuki was another survivor. Yuki was from Sunni. He was tied to a fence while the fighting raged. We don't know the family, but he was tied to a fence, and Yuki's heading back with me. He was the first survivor that will head back with me, and many more will be able to be adopted. There's no question that we will have to support the Ukraine with adoption, and there's no question that Ukraine is going to need the support necessary in many different ways, but most importantly, in the next 6 months, a massive sterilization campaign across these regions, effective immediately, needs to happen. Funding is critical for us to execute, and we know the locations now that we need to do this in order to stop the influx and vaccinate these dogs, because rabies is endemic in this country, and the last thing they need is for infectious disease to break out. So these are the things that we can do to help. This is what we can do to help. But there's no question that this country is in desperate need of air defense. The country is being crippled by not having electric or water, the telecommunications. It's really cold and it's really scary when you're in a city and a missile hits and you're nowhere near a military barracks, or you're nowhere near anyone that's fighting. You're just with innocent people going about their lives, walking their dogs. My name is Jeff Beri, the founder of No Dogs Left Behind. I want to thank all of our supporters and all the team members and all the people, all the team members who came with me in the front lines in Ukraine. Man, you guys were incredible. You guys were really, really, really incredible. And you risked your lives, and all you supporters that are watching this video, and Zelensky's coming to the United States, and all I can say is that if there's one thing we could support them with is getting them the air defense that they need to protect their country now, because the winter's coming and they need that now. I'm telling you firsthand, because I was there. And there's nothing worse than seeing those missiles hit the ground, because it almost hit me. It almost hit our team. Peace out. Jeff Beri, No Dogs Left Behind.